You previously discovered how UIKit and its counterparts AppKit and WatchKit make developers' life harder by requiring different syntaxes for the creation of UI elements, like a button for an iPhone, Mac, or Apple Watch. You also learned how SwiftUI makes it easier to define an interface element simply and effectively in a way that translates across all Apple platforms. To understand the difference between these two approaches, you need to know about declarative and imperative syntaxes. So in this video, you will learn the differences between declarative and imperative syntaxes, and how declarative syntax is a modern approach to programming. With the previous approach, you had to define every step necessary to create a button, including its size, its title, the method it runs when pressed, and even the method itself to be executed when the button is pressed, in a different block of code. In other words, with this approach, you have to provide specific orders to the system to define exactly what you want. There is no room for flexibility or adaptation. This method of creating code by specifying orders is called imperative syntax, and it has been used for decades. On the other hand, you discovered how simple it is to create the same button for all Apple platforms using SwiftUI. Instead of giving exact orders to create the button in a certain way, SwiftUI tells the system to create a button with a given title that executes the code between brackets. The system decides how this button will look in different Apple platforms. You do have the ability to customize the button, which you will learn about in detail later in this course. This method of writing code for the user interface elements, by specifying what you need instead of how you need it, is called declarative syntax. Let's explore this with an example. Imagine you visit the Little Lemon restaurant and want to order a cheeseburger with extra cheese and pickles. You enter the restaurant, stand behind the counter and order your food. If you use the imperative syntax, you would have to specify every step necessary to create that cheeseburger, or the restaurant would not know how to do it. It is a kind of recipe to get things done. However, giving Little Lemon specific orders to prepare the cheeseburger leaves them no room for changes, as each step must be followed strictly. What if every burger comes with melted cheese on top? Then step 4, add cheese, would be redundant. That could generate a conflict that may prevent the food from being prepared. In comparison, when using declarative syntax, you just state what you want and do not worry about how the cheeseburger will be made. You let Little Lemon decide. The restaurant now has a lot of flexibility to fulfill the order as requested. Using this metaphor, here's an example of how this could be written in code using declarative syntax in SwiftUI. This declaration states that you want a cheeseburger. The two added elements, or modifiers as they're called in SwiftUI, specify the additional properties, in this case, extra cheese and pickles. The SwiftUI declarative syntax has many benefits, including that it is easy to learn, simple to read and understand, a clean and modern syntax, and very easy to create complex interfaces. Also, Xcode provides a live preview. There's no need to deal with view constraints, language localizations, and interface variations are easy to apply. It simplifies the creation of multi-platform applications, and it's the future for Apple platforms. There are a few limitations, such as the full functionality of many controls are still only available in UIKit, because Apple has not converted all UIKit controls to SwiftUI. Xcode preview has some bugs and fails to render from time to time. And finally, the market is still adapting to SwiftUI. A few companies have not yet migrated from UIKit to SwiftUI, not because SwiftUI is bad or incomplete, but rather because some of these companies have large code bases, some written in older programming languages like Objective-C, the language that preceded Swift, and it takes time to convert all this code to new paradigms. However, SwiftUI is the future of development on all Apple platforms and will be adopted universally sooner or later. In this video, you've learned about the differences between imperative and declarative syntaxes, and how the SwiftUI declarative syntax is a modern approach to programming.